It's been a couple of weeks, so I'm sure some of you are chomping at the bit for this. Some of you might be saying still fuck off. It's not even December yet. Well, fuck you too. Here it is, an updated 2017 NFL mock draft. Just a one-round edition, all 32 picks in the description box down below. And as always, I hope, anyways, that you wait until the video is completed to actually hear what I say about some of this before you opine in the comment section. You do me that honor, then after that you can say whatever the hell you want in the comment section. I don't care. But at least give me the ability to talk about this mock draft. Now, as I look at this, I see what does start to shape up to me, actually, as I look a little bit more, as potentially a pretty good draft class. And could be even better. Now, sure, there are positions that I think are pretty weak this year. I don't think the defensive line class is all that special. I really don't. But some people might think guys like Jonathan Allen and Malik McDowell have star potential. So even at a position that's pretty weak in terms of overall talent and depth at the positions, could have some impact players, some star potential out of the top of the group. I look at offensive line. That's really a weak position this year. Which really surprising just how weak it is. But maybe some guys show themselves well the rest of the year. And as we go through the draft process and we go back and revisit prospects, maybe we find out that the offensive line class isn't so bad. What I like about this year's class, though, is you have some positions that haven't been as strong in recent years that are really, really strong this year. I think the strongest group, and I know a lot of talk is going to be about the running backs, and we'll get to them in a moment. This defensive back class, corners and safeties, is outstanding based off of what I've seen so far. I mean, you've got 5, 6, maybe 7 corners that could go in round 1, 3, 4, 5 safeties that could potentially go in round 1. You could have anywhere from 9 to 11 or even 12 defensive backs be among the first 32 picks. This is a really, really good defensive back class, headed by guys like Jabrill Peppers, the safety from Michigan, Teez Tabor from Florida, the corner. Got other guys like Malik Hooker from Ohio State and Jamal Adams, both of those guys at safety. You've got corners like Desmond King and Marlon Humphrey, and even the kid from Washington, Sidney Jones. I mean, you've got a lot of talent in that defensive back class. Really, really, really important for a lot of NFL teams, as so many teams run 3, 4, 5 wide receiver sets as their base offense now. You got to be able to defend teams both horizontally and vertically. And for teams looking for defensive back help in this draft, I would expect they could get it in great abundance here. I think it's a solid clash for edge rushers with guys like Myles Garrett and Charles Harris and Derek Barnett and Carl Lawson. I don't know if it's a special class of edge rushers, but I think it's a pretty solid class of edge rushers. The running back class, as mentioned before, is really, really good with Dalvin Cook and Leonard Fournette. Some of you may be surprised that I have Dalvin Cook ahead of Leonard Fournette. Some of you probably are not. I just think there are some teams that are going to value Dalvin Cook more than Leonard Fournette because they're going to view Dalvin Cook as a more exciting, explosive, big play type of running back and a more versatile running back, both as a runner and as a pass catcher. When you have other running backs like Royce Freeman and Christian McCaffrey and Samaje Perine and so on and so forth, it's a really, really good running back class. Really, really good. So I'm excited about that. But ultimately, this class, I can talk about all the other positions, is going to come down to the quarterback position. The quarterback position typically is what dictates whether a draft class is strong or not. And that's just the way it is. It's the most important position in pro football, the most important position in North American professional sports. If your draft is weak at the quarterback position, then chances are your entire draft is pretty weak. See, 2013 is a perfect example of this. But you have a stronger draft class, at quarterback position. It could be an indication of a really good draft. See 2004 with Eli and Phillip Rivers and Big Ben and so on. Think about that. You look at this year's quarterback class, I still question whether or not any of these guys really have dude factor. And so much about the quarterback position is about having that dude factor. And you're probably going to hear me talk about that a lot for the next several months. If I don't think any of these quarterbacks ultimately have that dude factor, you'll hear about it. If I think 1, 2, or 3 of these guys has dude factor and dude potential, you also will know about it. But you look at it right now, I've just thrown some names up against the board. I've still got DeShone Kizer sitting at number 1. being the first quarterback taken. I think in the last mock draft I had Cleveland taking Myles Garrett #1. I was going to do that again, but I was like, nah, this time I'll have him take a quarterback. I just wonder if teams are going to question Kizer and his dude factor based off of the record that Notre Dame has. Are you really going to want to bring in a young quarterback, take him #1 overall, especially into the Cleveland Browns situation, coming away from a Notre Dame team where they're at, 2-5 right now with a losing record? And sure, you could sit there and say that that's not really his fault. Maybe it's not. But maybe it is some way of reflection of him in terms of his ability to make plays or not at big moments, or a reflection of his leadership or lack of leadership, fair or not. These are going to be questions that are going to be asked, and some organizations are really going to take a moment to hesitate and pause, similar to how you did with Jay Cutler at Vanderbilt years back, because here's a guy that was supposed to be so good, but Vanderbilt was always middle of the road as a program with him. What type of quarterback was he really if he couldn't take his team better than 5-6 or 6-5? DeShone Kizer is going to get some of those same questions. If you're the Cleveland Browns, you have to stop and pause and really, really do your homework and research to determine whether or not you think this is the type of guy that can help you win NFL games, because frankly, right now he's not helping his college team win football games. Now, some of you might be surprised with me throwing Trubisky from North Carolina in at #2 with the Bears. I've told you before in previous mock draft videos that I think there will be questions about Deshaun Watson. I don't think his draft stock is nearly as high as many people are making it out to be right now. And as far as Kaaya, I like Kaaya more right now. But again, that's not a final determination, so don't come back 8 months from now and blast me for it. But I wonder if teams are going to question his arm strength and some other factors with him, and if they're going to really view him as a top-flight quarterback prospect or maybe a second-tier quarterback prospect. There's the chance for somebody like a Trubisky to come into the conversation and work out well and perform well the rest of this season, and then into the off season and the bowl games and the combine and the individual workouts, the pro days and all that stuff. There's a chance for somebody like him to slip in there. Now, I could be totally right. He could end up being the first quarterback taken. I could be totally wrong, and out of the 4 quarterbacks I got taken in round #1, it could be none of these guys that ends up being the first quarterback taken. Frankly, I haven't done enough to give you a full determination yet of the rankings at the quarterback position. The only thing I've been able to tell you so far is that I have some real concerns about all of these guys. I'm not sure that any of these guys have dude factor, and each of these guys, especially with Kizer and Watson and Kaaya, who I've admittedly watched more than Trubisky, all 3 of these guys have major flaws that to me are really, really concerning when trying to project their NFL potential. And you have so many teams at the top of the draft that could potentially be quarterback needy. I just wonder if they're going to head into this year's draft and ultimately be disappointed with what they find. But again, that's my mock draft. You feel free to pick it apart and talk about it in the comment section below. I'll have another updated one in a couple of weeks, and hopefully by then, as the baseball playoffs wind down and the Bears season is pretty much already done, I can have more time devoted to really diving into the prospects in the 2017 NFL draft and start to form some real hardline opinions on these guys. That's when it gets fun and exciting.